If you have been Googling Portugal Job Seeker Visa, I need you to stop. I need you to stop all the research that you have been doing, because it is potentially true that you have been doing it wrong. So this video is for you if you have been looking for Portugal Job Seeker Visa, to tell you exactly what happened, what to expect, is it ever going to come back, and what are your other options. So please watch this video until the very last minute. Share it with somebody else who would also benefit from it, so that we can keep growing this community. Now, as of 2025, October of 2025, Portugal Job Seeker Visa, the original Job Seeker Visa, was actually stopped completely, and every appointment was voided, every application in progress was cancelled, and the replacement visa is not still yet available as of early 2026. So as of the recording of this video, this visa is still not available for application. And when you go to that website that stipulates the regulations about the Job Seeker Visa, you will find out that they are still reviewing the law, depending on what exactly they will put on those stipulations. We still do not know. Prospectively, this is going to enlist a list of skill sets that would be required for you to be able to actually apply for this Job Seeker Visa. Initially, the Job Seeker Visa was a visa that would allow you to come to Portugal and apply for any job for a period of 120 days, and then you would also extend for another period of 60 days. And obviously, if you don't find a job within this period of time, then you would go back to your own home country, and then you would only reapply after 1 year of waiting. Now, this is something that we still do not know until now, when they will reopen the Skilled Job Seeker Visa. Please note, Skilled Job Seeker Visa. And once again, please note that this is not legal advice. This is information that I have collected from legal experts as well as news items. So please also do your own research. Once again, I always say, do your own research before you can go ahead and apply for any type of visa out there. So the Job Seeker Visa was actually voided, and in any case also the manifestação de interesse, or the manifestation of interest, was also stopped. So the manifestation of interest, or manifestação de interesse, was actually a route where you would come to Portugal on a tourist visa, and then if you found a job, then you would commit into the job, get a contract, have pay taxes, have accommodation, and so on and so forth, and then get into the system that way. And that is no longer happening. This was voided completely, and that was completely bolted, and it's not going to be coming back. So please also stop asking about, can I come to Portugal on a tourist visa and find myself a job? No. The answer is absolutely not. So the Job Seeker Visa was, halted, and the manifestation of interest was also bolted. So you might be wondering, so what next? One of the things that I would want to tell you is that the Job Seeker Visa is definitely going to come back as a Skilled Job Seeker Visa. When? We do not know. There is no way of knowing when they will actually publish this. So you have to keep an eye on the website that has the stipulations of how to apply for a Job Seeker Visa, and see when they actually publish this. You might also want to check in with embassies and any other information that is relevant with your lawyer, and so on and so forth, to see when they actually republish this. But what I want to tell you is that now you cannot just come to Portugal and look for any job. It has to be a skilled job, and this, you have to think in terms of maybe the healthcare, or in the tech world, or any other professional thing that you actually find to do in Portugal. So this is the major change, and if you're still thinking of using that route, then you need to show that you can leverage the skill set that you have. So you might want to ask, so okay, fine, the Job Seeker Visa perhaps might not be my thing. What are other routes that I could potentially use? There are several D-class visas in Portugal. that you potentially might have heard of, and I will stipulate each and every one of them, but you also once again need to do your own research about it. We do have a D1 visa, and the D1 visa is a visa that has been used in Portugal for a long period of time actually now, for working professionals who have already accepted an employment offer in Portugal. And usually this visa is valid for over 12 months, and it is worth noting that you can only be considered employed in Portugal if the position was actually advertised and interviewed for, and also if the position was not able to be filled by the employer hiring a Portuguese citizen or any other citizen from any other country within the European Union. Now, the D1 visa does not apply to, other nationals like non-EEA nationals who are still seeking work in Portugal. So this type of visa is only applicable to non-EU nationals who have already secured work in Portugal. And this visa is one of the other routes that you could potentially use. And what I'm saying here is that you would need to actually get a job from a Portuguese company, and then from there, this can be processed. This D1 visa, once again, this job has to have been advertised out there, and they have not found anyone in Portugal or anyone within the European Union that can cover that job. And in most cases, companies have to really justify that they cannot be able to get this particular talent for this particular job. Another visa that you can obviously use is the D2 visa. Now, the D2 visa is usually a visa that has been there for quite a bit of time as well. And this D2 visa is for entrepreneurs and freelancers. And in this case, I have actually spoken about this on this channel. And the D2 visas is for somebody who wants to come and begin their business. And you have to really write a very convincing proposal and show exactly what your business is going to be. Think about this. Perhaps maybe you already have a business in your home country and you would want to expand into Portugal. So this is one of the routes that you could potentially use for yourself and your business. And you need a solid business plan or evidence of existing freelance contracts that you potentially have. And this is for people building something in Portugal and they are not employed by somebody else. You need to also make sure that you meet the criteria of this visa if you're thinking of coming to begin your own business as well. And so this is already usually stipulated on sites like on VFS or any one of the embassies. So you can check to see whether you actually meet the requirements for this type of visa. Another visa that you could utilize to come to Portugal with is the D3 visa. The D3 visa has become quite popular as well because this is specifically for professionals who are coming to Portugal to work in Portugal. Think about people who are in engineering fields, things like IT, healthcare, and so on and so forth. And this has been going on for a bit of time. And this D3 visa would be potentially your new best friend because unlike the job seeker visa, this requires a contract before you actually arrive. And so you also have to earn at least 3 times the minimum amount of salary in Portugal. It is also beneficial because the D3 holders are usually often exempt from the 2-year waiting period for family reunification. Once again, things keep on changing in this case, but the D3 visa has been one of the, great options that you can potentially utilize. And also, there's a secret layer to the D3 visa, which is called the tech visa scheme, which is something that I have spoken about for a bit of time. And this is for the techies in the industry. And, obviously you would need to check on the list of the companies that have been given this mandate for the tech visa scheme and see whether you qualify for any one of the jobs on that visa scheme, and then go to their websites and obviously check which jobs they are employing for and see. Once again, it's not guaranteed, so you would need to actually go ahead and check with any one of the employers, see whether you qualify, apply for the job, whether or not you're picked out. Then that is to their sole discretion. You have to obviously show that you're a great candidate, and if you're picked out, then the company would potentially, assist you towards getting, the visa, obviously depending on your own country and the number of appointments that might be there. But this is one of the routes that you can use. Remember, this again is for professionals, and it is really one of the other options that you could potentially use to come to Portugal. Another option that you can use is what we call the D4 visa. The D4 visa is a student visa, and if you are accepted to a university or recognized academic program in Portugal, this is your route. And it is relevant if you're considering study as your entry point in Portugal. And this is usually mostly for, I see students who came via the D4 visa to study their masters or their PhDs. I would highly recommend, if you're coming to Portugal, to come and study your masters or your PhDs, because at least if you're coming from an English speaking country, then this is one of the routes that you would potentially use either for your masters or your PhD. Most undergraduates, you will find that they are taught in Portuguese. So if you actually know Portuguese, then you could apply for an undergraduate that is taught in Portuguese if you're comfortable with that. However, that also requires equivalence tests, and there's a whole list of things that you have to do for you to actually qualify for this. And the equivalence test would be from your secondary school education and so on and so forth. So personally, I wouldn't recommend you to come to Portugal to study your undergraduate. I would say come in and study your master's or your PhD, or maybe even if it's a short course. Some universities actually offer these short courses, but you have to check out for them and see how much this costs for you, so that you can be able to make your best of plans. Now, when you come with a D4 visa, it is also possible to convert that visa from a student visa to a work permit if and only if you actually get some sort of employment in Portugal once you complete your studies. So you would need to show that you have your degree certificate, and then you can be able to start the process of changing from a student visa to a work permit. Once again, always do your own research, because this is not an easy process. None of this actually is an easy process. Another visa that you can use is the D6 visa. The D6 visa is actually family reunification, and this is only for people who are already in Portugal. They have been living in Portugal and they want their families to actually reunite with them. So the D6 visa comes in handy because they have the family reunification is now possible if you have lived in Portugal for about now 2 years, because they have been changing this law quite a bit of time. So you also need to do your research and see what actually works for you, because it is dependent on how long you have stayed in Portugal. It is dependent on what exactly that you're doing here in Portugal and all these kind of things. And family reunification is usually possible once you have residency, and you can bring either your spouse, your dependent children, or your parents. And this is one of the other visas that you could potentially use to, reunify your family. Now, another visa that you can utilize to come to Portugal is the very known D7 visa. The D7 visa, or the passive income visa, is usually for people who already have retired, for instance, or if you are building a business. So the D7 visa is usually for retirees or with individuals who have things like rental or dividend income. And it is also for people who are already working for other companies that are not Portuguese and can be able to sustain themselves on a monthly basis. There is a caveat also that you need to show that you at least earn a minimum of 920 euros per month. And you also need to show that, if you are a retiree, that this amount is actually present if it's in passive funds. And if you're listening to this, I have a really extremely helpful guide for a D7 visa, so you can check that out. I am going to leave this link link on my description box down below. So you can get that D7 visa guide. It is comprehensive. It is with all the information that you need. It is going to help you tick out all the things that you need to do so that you can have a smooth running. I know if you don't have this information, sometimes it's always like mind-boggling. Whom should you trust? What should I do? But some of these things are really easy to tick out. I have actually added information for anyone who is listening to me and is in the US or in Kenya, and this guide is going to be very helpful even for anyone else, honestly speaking. So please check it out on the description box. Go ahead and pick it out. Now, another final visa that you can use is the D8 visa. The D8 visa is the Digital Nomad Visa, and if you work remotely for a company that is outside Portugal, you would need the D8 visa, and the income bar is actually 3,600 euros per month. So you would need to show that you're actually earning this amount of money, and if you earn less than that, obviously the D8 visa is a no-go for you in 2026. Obviously these things keep on changing depending on, you know, different agreements and so on and so forth. So you have to keep on checking for what works for you. Now, these are the D category visas that you could use to come to Portugal. So if you're still looking at the job seeker visa, I need you to stop for now until there are newer details. You would need to keep on checking on that website whether they have updated anything. I would definitely maybe do a video once there are more details about this. So keep on checking and keep your eye on the news just to see what exactly is happening. What I will tell you for sure is that none of these visas are easy going. You know, you need to do the paperwork. You need to also realize that you are moving into a different country, you're moving into a Portuguese speaking country, and once again, do the work and get the information from the right places. Use a lawyer if you really do need to use a lawyer. In most cases, for some of these visas, you would definitely need a lawyer. Ensure that all the documents that are required, you have them correctly. Ensure that you have the right documents. Please make sure that they are the right documents that are needed, because that's a quick fire way of you being disqualified. So please make sure that you have ticked all the boxes and do your research. And one of the things that I usually say is, for instance, if you're coming to Portugal, please, and you can be able to do a scouting trip, do that scouting trip early enough so that you can come and realize for yourself exactly what you're coming into, and just don't come, you know, for 1 week and then you'll be like, I really loved Lisbon, yet you didn't see Porto, you didn't see other places, because Portugal is not just Lisbon, it's not just Porto, it's not just Faro, it's several other cities that are there. And so it's important for you to actually do a proper scouting so you can see whether is Portugal really for you. Would you see yourself living here with your family, and so on and so forth. In case you do need to just have a chat with me about coming to Portugal and how it is like and how life is really like, I will tell it to you straight on, no sugarcoating. So please go ahead and reach out to me and book your consultation using the links that are on my description box, and I'll be more than happy to just have a chat with you and tell it to you as it is. Once again, a disclaimer that I am not an immigration officer, I am not a lawyer, I am just somebody who is just giving you information according to what I have seen in the news. I'm somebody who is always very much in the know of what is actually happening, and I would love for you to have the best of the best of experiences if you're thinking of still moving to Portugal. And I do hope that this video has helped you quite a bit, and please go ahead and watch my other videos on this channel and interact with me, and I'll be more than happy to comment and answer any one of the questions that you might have. And until next time, bye.